Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chelmsford Tonight. This is the show where we highlight the people and places that make Chelmsford and the surrounding areas a great place to live and work. I'm Karen Woodrow, owner of Visiting Angels Senior Home Care right here in Chelmsford, and I'll be your host. So tonight we're going to shine the spotlight on North Chelmsford. That's right, the 01863. North Chelmsford is an unincorporated village in Chelmsford, and it's separated from the rest of the town by Route 3. And even though it's smaller in area than the rest of Chelmsford, it is much more densely populated. So while North Chelmsford does have its own identity, it's not really a seriously debated topic. However, the residents of North Chelmsford do have a pride of place. And for that reason, tonight we're going to focus on 3 areas in North Chelmsford that are getting some improvements. Our first story tonight focuses on the new fire station at 35 Princeton Street in North Chelmsford. And here is Chief Gary Ryan celebrating the official opening of the station.
Good morning, and everybody, thank you for coming out today. It's a great pleasure to be here with you to celebrate the opening of our new Engine 2. So I'm grateful to all who have contributed to providing our members with a safe and modern fire station to grow in. One, two, three.
With me here in the studio is Fire Chief Gary Ryan, and he's going to help us dig into the details of the new Engine 2. Thank you for joining me, Gary.
Oh, Karen, thank you for having me, and congratulations on the new show and the swag bag, too. I really appreciate that. But I also want to thank you for your service to Chelmsford, because Visiting Angels, very important part of Chelmsford, and like I've said before, what you do. Certainly there's a need for it in Chelmsford, and our circles interact. And so I want to thank you for what you do for the people in Chelmsford.
And right back at you.
Thank you.
The firefighters are certainly a key members of this
Absolutely.
community.
Yeah.
So with that, they certainly need a good, safe home to be in when they are on duty. And so North Chelmsford had a fire station, and we have a picture of it. It was built in 1956, which makes it over 60 years old. Now, we all know what happens as we reach 60 years old. We either need some fixing or a little bit of replacing, right?
A little touch-up?
A little bit of touch-up. But we did more for the firehouse. So the town got together, and we were able to build a new firehouse. So we have a picture of the new firehouse as well. So I feel like one of those kids' pictures where you say, what are the differences between this picture and the old picture? So why don't you tell us, what is the difference between the old firehouse that you used to have on Princeton Street and what's going on with the new firehouse?
So first of all, we are very thankful to the people of Chelmsford. I'm thankful to the town manager, the boards, certainly the citizens of Chelmsford for approving this, because you have to think of the time when I went before the town body to ask for $3.4 million. At that time, right in the height of the pandemic, businesses were closing down. Budgets were being cut. Our budget was cut, and people were being laid off. A very difficult time to come before the body to ask for that money. So certainly I just want to get that out front. I'm very thankful and appreciative to have this opportunity to build this. I certainly think if people follow what's going on in Lowell and you see how the costs are escalating, we're fortunate to get this project done on time and on budget.
So I'm glad the town approved the fire station,
Yes.
but now it's your time to answer to the people.
That's right. So
tell us what the difference is.
So basically, we
need it?
replaced a station, like you said, that was built back in the 50s, but it wasn't built with more than 2 firefighters in mind. That station was built for just male firefighters. It had actually no bunk room that was in there. That bunk room was built in the apparatus room as an afterthought. One shower. And even when the bedroom was built, it's only one single gender bedroom, one bedroom. So.
And now your firefighters are.
We have all the modern amenities in this station. It's 2 floors. Each floor is 2,200 square feet, so certainly a lot more space. For our gear, we have the proper decontamination room because your gear, when you come back, it off-gas, so it has to be in a separate room from the living quarters, and it has to have a separate ventilation system. It's very important. There's individual bedrooms. Certainly an issue we've been dealing with, and others, through the pandemic. Certainly, anybody going forward building a fire station would build a firehouse with single bedrooms.
Right,
so
because it's really important that,
very important
that you
too.
get great night's sleep.
Great
in
nice, but
case
also
there's-
to give you that proper isolation in space. This station has an office, it has laundry facilities, but even with that, in that building, I mean, just the existing portion, the apparatus room, the apparatus bay where the trucks are, significant renovations. The ceiling was opened up to add more structural supports. The floor was totally redone, new windows, the bedroom was taken out, new garage doors, a lot more natural light. Even though we have LED approved lighting, efficient lighting in there, so much more natural light in there now.
And you were able to move the fitness equipment out of the truck bay into
That's
its own
correct.
space.
So not only that, but we were very fortunate in this environment to get a grant for $50,000. So the fire department, like a lot of departments, we have a safety committee. I did the work of getting the grant. They did the hard work of trying to find out what type of equipment they wanted. Plus, they did the logistics part to try to get the equipment there. So a lot of coordination and effort on their part, so I'm very thankful for them. But certainly, not only do we have a dedicated room for exercise, but we have new equipment in it.
Great.
So certainly thankful for that.
So what I noticed, and with my untrained firefighter eye, is that the old building was 1 story, and
Correct.
the new building is 2 stories.
Well, the old building was 1 story, but it had a basement, a utility basement. It had,
okay.
So yes, so this is a 2-story built on a slab, no basement, but the living quarters before was 1,500 square feet. Each floor is 2,200 square feet.
Right. So
So
I have,
certainly a lot more room.
and I have to ask, is there a fire pole now?
There is no fire pole in this building. A lot of people ask me that, but there's only one company, like east of the Mississippi, that does it, and it's in Somerville, Brass McIntyre,
Wow.
that does the fire pole. Very expensive though. Very expensive to put in, very expensive to maintain.
So are the bedrooms upstairs and they run down the stairs when there's a fire, or the bedrooms on the
Bedrooms
first
are
floor?
upstairs and they, not run, but they walk pretty quickly downstairs, safely.
All right,
Downstairs,
good. They must be used to that because they have all that heavy equipment and they're running into homes and going upstairs. So going
Correct. There you
downstairs
go.
when it's not
Yeah.
really a fire going on, it's probably pretty easy for them. So here's a fun fact, and you really blew me away 'cause with the cost of this new one.
Right.
Because in 1956, the cost of building that fire station was $63,000.
That's correct.
And I know that we, in 2021, we could certainly never hope to match that, even with the value of today's dollar. But it was
Well,
still.
you're correct, because we just got approved for a staff vehicle, which is more than the cost of that station back then.
Wow.
So, the other little factoid for that on that slide when we presented was that station, the Chief Kidder got approved, I think it was in July or August of that year. They got occupancy in December. That's very impressive to me. Yes, the price, I agree, but 4 months from
But-
design to build to occupying that building.
And you were very smart about it. This time you went with a prefab construction, and we have a video of the construction of the fire station, and that definitely helped keep the cost down, and it helped the build go much quicker so that engine 2 did not have a lot of downtime, which we're happy about.
Which is amazing because they had to bring these 12 units up from it's in Logic, that's the company, but from New Holland, Pennsylvania, and they took 2 days to bring it up here. They stored some of those units at the Harrington School in the parking lot, and I think it was August 20th on a Friday that they started shipping those in. You had that picture one at a time, and it's a little hard to see, but when those 12 sections come, you'll see inside that the kitchen's already in there. You see, when I said kitchen, you have the cabinets, the counter, the sink appliances. You have the sheetrock up, the sheetrock painted. You have some when you have the drop ceiling and the light fixtures. So they actually build that together. in Pennsylvania, and it's called pinning. They pin it together to line up where the piping's going to go, and then they break it apart to transport it up here.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm really glad that our North Chelmsford firefighters have a much safer and more comfortable home for when they're on duty.
Thank you for having me tonight. And congratulations on the new show.
Thanks. We'll be back after this break.
Ever wonder what happens to students after they graduate from Chelmsford High School? Well, that's the question we answer on Where Are They Now? Every episode, we talk with a CHS alum and discover what they've been up to. We've talked with doctors, journalists, engineers, authors, artists, and even a professional hockey player. There's no end to the stories of how Chelmsford High has prepared students to go on to greater things. So, tune into the next episode and find out, where are they now?
Welcome back to our show. So I have a very important question for you viewers tonight, and that is, what do you do at a traffic light? I mean, we've seen it all. Now people are playing on their phones, waiting for the light to change. We used to see people reading the newspaper. And of course, there's my favorite, putting on the mascara, maybe a little lipstick. But there's one traffic light in North Chelmsford that is the bane of everyone's existence. You could probably write the great American novel while you're sitting at this traffic light. And our producer, Pete Padula, is particularly upset about this traffic light. And to share his aggravation with us, he not only was banging his head on the steering wheel, but he took this video of how long it takes to get through this traffic light. So here's Pete driving his car, approaching Vinal Square on Groton Road. Behind the minivan, the other car pulls out, and there's many, many cars ahead of him as he's trying to make it through that traffic light. So Pete actually timed it. And it took over 2 minutes for him to get through that traffic light. And I'm pretty amazed that our show started on time despite that delay. So, fortunately, fixing that traffic problem and some other things in North Chelmsford around Vinal Square is going to be happening. There's going to be a lot of improvements made. And with me tonight is Joe Tierney. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the show.
Karen, nice to meet you.
Thank you for
Thank you
joining
for having me.
So, you are a Chelmsford resident, and you are the chair of the Vinal Square Strategic Action Plan Committee.
Thank you. Yes, that is a mouthful, but yes, that is exactly correct.
Okay,
Yes.
it packs a punch, that title.
It does.
But
It
you
does.
have a big project behind you on that committee. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, well, I actually want to thank everybody in town, all around town, and anybody that frequents it, because this is a big project that's been part of the scope of Vinal Square and the committee since 2012. And it was time with funding, and with NEMCOG is it's an agency, Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, that helped us engage with the town, and it's to improve Vinal Square. Improve the traffic lights, the crosswalks, add traffic lights to be upgraded so they're all in sync with each other, and really improve it, and add green space as well.
Oh.
So it's very exciting that this has come to fruition, but a lot of work, a lot of communicating, a lot of feedback from the town went into getting to this point, and we're here.
Right, so this has
Very
been
exciting.
going on for about a year and a half, and we have a map of the area that your committee is responsible for, and it's a pretty big, important area with a lot of wonderful resources in it, including Freeman Lake and the Varney Playground and Vinal Square. So Vinal Square, named after a local World War I hero killed in France, Private Albert W. Vinal, is slated for exciting improvements. Why don't you take us through some of them?
Well, thank you for showing that depiction, because that really does show everything that we're in charge of, or that comes in the scope. And I appreciate the little history on Vinal Square as well. So when you say it was a year and a half, which that is true, this was part of the plan since 2012, with a lot of other improvements that we're going to go into as well.
10 years, that's a big difference.
Yes. But what we had done is we actually engaged with the community through a survey, and NEMCOG actually steered that survey and laid that out. I believe that was what you're asking me, how this all came about, correct?
Sure.
Yeah, so So when we came upon a plan with NEMCOG, meeting with our Vinyl Square committee, they were on the agenda and we discussed the best way to go about it. Now they actually figured out what would go on the survey. We pushed it out to the residents, both with emails to town meeting reps, put it on Facebook, and got a pretty good engagement with over 150 responses and telling us, what concerns they have with the crosswalks, with sidewalks, and with the intersection, like you said, the light and Pete's concerns. And hopefully Pete took the survey as well. And we got a lot of good feedback, and it actually highlighted some points. And then in July 15th, and again, I want to thank Chelmsford TeleMedia, because we had a hybrid meeting to then go remote, because again, we were in lockdown stage. We couldn't have our meetings in North Town Hall where we normally do. We had a hybrid in the town offices. People could dial in through Zoom, or also it was broadcast on telemedia. So that was a very big help, because then we'd also give some of the other things we're working on to promote what we do in Vinyl Square. So it covered all the concerns, highlighted them, and then we had a chance for any kind of feedback of what we were doing. And then in November, in all between, there was some interaction, but in November, NEMCOG actually came up with what they call a concept plan, and that's some of the graphics that I've shown and presented, where it actually shows, what Vinyl Square will look like with added green space, redirection of the traffic coming in from Middlesex, and just to make sure that it's a pure stop versus merging, and in crosswalks and the like. And there's just a lot of improvements that we've been all looking for as a community, and with everybody's feedback.
That's great. And I know they're Massachusetts roads, so you had to get MassDOT involved and a lot of other committees. That's a lot to juggle. So let's take a look at the artist rendition of Pete's favorite intersection in North Chelmsford. And you can see it's a lot prettier. There's trees, and so it looks like smooth sailing on the roads and easy parking. And on the right-hand side is one of my favorite pieces, is there's going to be a bike lane, which is new for the area.
Yes, that's what I've found out through this process, is that there needs to be improvements with the bike lanes, which adds to the safety if people do want to venture through Vinyl Square on a bike. But it actually separates the spacing, so I guess they will be able to do that, which is good. And with the improvement with the sidewalks, it helps out as well. And I'm glad you made that point, because that's the nature of really why we needed to do this. And because some of the roads that go through Vinyl Square, they're owned by the state, we had to do this engagement with NEMCOG. Then now, one of the last stages that we did, we had to formally engage with what the next steps are. We then met with the town select board, and they officially voted unanimously to take on this project, hand it over to DPW to finalize and work with the engineering firm that we do, Howard Stein Hudson, to actually fine-tune the plan and take ownership of it, because the town has spoken and the residents want this done.
All right, so let's see. You had all the hard part, all the planning, but let's look at the fun stuff. Let's look at the improvements with the wayfinding signage. It's going to give North Chelmsford its own identity with those blue signs and the yellow building, which is the Chelmsford Old Town Hall, I believe. New planters for the trees, and a new Varney playground. Let's look at what the old playground used to look like. All right. I can feel the splinters already just looking at that picture. I am sure the parents and the children of North Chelmsford and the rest of the town are really excited about the new playground that's going to be coming in. It's going to be ADA compliant, and it's going to be more accessible for people, and just new and exciting.
Yes, and so along the way with our meetings with Vinyl Square, like I said earlier, the park and the square are all part of it, and we knew this was end of life, and that's been communicated. And we're really there. And a year ago, we got the approval for the funding for the playground. We have a committee that is comprised of parents that have come up with, and this is an example of what can be done and is part of the plan. And recently, we've had some interest from some parents that want to get involved with potential phase 2, which would be great, because we're always looking for feedback, and it's been shown, I've been asked that maybe I'm begging, but I actually just really have found my involvement with Vinyl Square, coaching, North Town Hall, anywhere around town. I implore everyone to get involved because it really has been rewarding. It's a lot of hard work, but it really truly means that we're making our town the way we want it. So I'm excited about it.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining me and for all you're doing for North Chelmsford. It's really exciting. And you all should make sure you travel this part of town and see the new improvements that are taking place. And please don't get frustrated with that traffic light. It's all about to change. We'll be right back after this break.
Show number 2, y'all ready? Glad to be here, Lord. Folks, nice to see you. Glad you made it. Open up, baby, if you love a ball main, that's a knock in. I want everybody that could you join son there, rock it. I want to get your Bobby shoes on. Hope the jukebox blows the view. Have you heard the news? Everybody rock it. Have you heard the news? Everybody rock it tonight. I want the whole time, baby, time to dance. Like she knows about rocking my man. You heard? Everybody rock it tonight.
Joining me now is Deb Siriani. Deb is the director of the Chelmsford Senior Center. So, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Deb and I first met at the beginning of the pandemic. The Senior Center had shut down, and no people were allowed to go and enjoy the resources there. But the staff was still working. They were still cooking up Meals on Wheels. They were still cooking up food for people that were in need during this really, really difficult time. And so Visiting Angels went and we delivered a breakfast for all the staff to thank them for their hard work in caring for our seniors. And it was
so nice of you. It was a spirit lifter for sure.
Well, that's good, and it was great to be there in the Senior Center, but I did hear a little complaint from you about how difficult it was to prepare all these Meals on Wheels because of the state of the Chelmsford Senior Center kitchen. But here we are, 2 years later, and you and I are together, and I finally get to see your whole face because we're not wearing masks. This is great. And the seniors are enjoying amazing meals from a brand new kitchen.
Yep. Yep. Actually, tomorrow, depending on when this is presented.
So on March 17th,
On March 17th, 2022, we have our big corned beef and cabbage meal, and we have about 130 people registered for it right now. So we're getting back up to numbers. We used to have closer to 200 people. So we're still growing. There are some people who are still concerned about coming in and safety-wise, but it's picking up. And we're really happy to have a new kitchen. It had been on our list for several years with our capital planning, and when the dishwasher started to go, the very large dishwasher started to go, it was moved up in the queue. And so we were able to start that project.
So it's interesting. So the Senior Center is a place for seniors to go, and there's companionship and conversation and games. I'm sure there's like all kinds of chess and bridge and mahjong going on.
All that
but
and more.
I would never cross my mind to go there for a meal, but you guys really produce many, many meals during the year, lunches and holidays. So what can we dine on at the Senior Center?
Well, we like to make meals that people won't make for themselves a lot. So we like a lot of home-cooked, like meatloaf or a beef stew or we have fish every Friday in Lent. We make sure we have that. But we have lasagna, and we have turkey dinners. We've got ham dinners. We've got at our cafe, we even have soup and sandwiches, like a lighter fare, but it's always based on a low-salt diet, and it's a nutritious meal that's balanced, and it's okayed by a nutritionist. So we know that, sometimes when you're cooking for yourself or for just the two of you,
That's
might
right.
make,
Cooking for 1 and 2 is a challenge.
yeah, then you might not really choose a full nutritious meal. It's easier to kind of pick at things.
Right.
And we make sure that people have a full meal with milk, with fruit, with sometimes dessert we'll have too, and a nice nutritious meal. So we do have that, and then we also have in the cafe, we'll have soup and sandwiches just for people to kind of have different options and pick.
That is
And
so nice.
grab something, and sometimes to go. So sometimes they'll buy that to go and have it for dinner, and then they won't have to cook at all.
Right.
And that's Monday through Friday.
Okay, that's great. I'm really glad that our seniors are getting a break from standing at their hot stove and cooking for themselves. So one of the people besides our seniors who are benefiting from the kitchen is Peter Walsh, who is the senior center chef, but I understand he was just promoted to manager. Congratulations, Pete. So let's hear from him, how he's enjoying the new kitchen.
Well, we have 2 new Blodgett ovens. We have a Vulcan steamer convection oven, 6-top, a new kettle, better, newer equipment. The walls, as you can see, is all stainless to my light, so it's easy cleaning and enjoyable to work with.
So he's the man that I'm going to tomorrow to get my good corned beef and cabbage recipe.
And maybe a sampling.
Okay, and maybe dessert tomorrow, please?
Yes.
All right. So with the senior center has finally reopened, and everybody's coming out to enjoy lunch, and we've got a video of the seniors enjoying the day. So tell us Pete, let's see what the seniors are up to. Look at that. That's what a nice space, and the kitchen was able to serve up some good food for them. Anything you want to
Chicken and
add?
gravy, mashed potatoes. So it's really a great place for folks to be able to gather. It's a day out with lunch, and what we do is it's a $2.50 donation suggested. So no one is turned away, no one is asked for any money. So if you can't afford, look at grocery prices right now. If you can't really, afford some of the food that or even if you just want a great meal and some socialization, you can come by and know that we'll be there. You won't be stuck in the house like you were for 2 years, and you'll be able to meet friendly faces and have an enjoyable time out at a nice low cost.
Nice
Or no cost if you can't pay. Nobody asks you for money, and you can just come on in and we'll serve you a nice meal.
That's a really great service you provide. Thanks so much for being here and telling us about it, Deb.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you're one of the friendly faces that people will see at the Senior Center. Yes. Thank you. So that's our show tonight. Thank you for joining us on Chelmsford Tonight. If you have a story idea, please let us know. And I'm talking to you, Chelmsford people south of Route 3. It's your turn. Let us know what's going on in your neighborhood. Thanks to my crew, Bob Pariseau, Delana Gallant, and Karen Karpawich. And of course, there's Pete up in the control booth, dreading to head out to that traffic light in Vinal Square. John Egan is still in Florida. We miss you, John. Please head this way because it's almost springtime here in Chelmsford. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining me.